A relationship is kind of like phone service. If you can't get service where you are, you got to go somewhere else. I'm just being real with y'all. Some of us, we try to make a connection where it is not. As a matter of fact, we try so hard to make a connection that we will stay in that very same place where we're getting half a bar, and we will expect that eventually it's going to get better. Now, in some cases, you might end up with a whole bar. Imagine that, a whole bar, one whole bar to yourself. But if you're expecting to have that full coverage service standing in that very same space where you are, or that very same encounter, relationship, right? You had that one date and you need it to work. You're like, this is the finest thing I've ever seen. Please, please work. But yet y'all have no type of chemistry. This person is going left and you are going up. They're going like this, you're going like these, right? As a matter of fact, they might be going down left. So they're going like these and you're going like these. And yet you're trying to make this thing work from a state of desperation, from a state of neediness, from a state of believing that this thing is going to define you in some way, that this thing is going to edify your life experience in some way. Well, to be real, to gratify your ego, right? If I'm seen around with her, if I'm seen around with him, oh man, I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the dude. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be that girl. I'm her. No, you're supposed to be her without the need for. You know what I'm saying? The queen is going to be a queen regardless. The king is going to be a king regardless. Now, if you bring king and queen together, that's different levels of power dynamics. But so long as you're looking for your kinghood and her queenness and your queenness and his kinghood, oh man, that's going to be a disaster. So I tell you again, these relationships are like phone service. If you don't have a connection where you are, and that goes for every type of relationship, by the way. This ain't just, the lovey-dovey, intimate, kissy, smoochy relation. This ain't just that. This ain't that. I'm talking about every relationship. I'm talking about the most platonic relationships, business relationships, right? Contractual relationships. If there is no connection, and that might also mean maybe you don't need chemistry per se to have this lawyer be a part of your business, right? But you need them to be competent and you need them to understand and value what you have, what you're producing, so they can represent you in the best way possible. You have this accountant coming in and they don't understand that your mentality is on growth. So they're thinking shrink. They're thinking, how do we make cuts? How do we do less? How do we shrink things down? And you thinking to yourself, now we got to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We got to grow. We got to touch the world right now. So you need somebody who is going to be on that same wavelength if it's a business relationship. If you're in a friendship and this person is, they trying to kick it all day. They trying to be at the house smoking all day. They got the 20, 30, 30, what, 20, 30 pack on. Y'all don't know nothing about that. I don't even know if y'all still do this anymore. Y'all got pens and stuff. But back in the day, you used to get your little 20 sack, your little 30 sack, 35 sack, whatever. And whatever you had on you right there, whatever everybody could collect up and buy, you want to kick it at the house all day, waiting for the folks to get out, waiting for the pastor to leave. Like, y'all just wasting time. If that is the people that you're with, but yet you are trying to aspire towards higher things, what do you think the outcome of that situation is going to be? Do you think there's going to be a genuine connection between you and this person who simply does not see more for their life? And I'm not dogging anybody who's at the house all day chiefing and kicking it and watching Teletubbies as a grown man. I'm not here to dog you for that. I'm simply here to point out that if that is the type of person you surround yourself with, or you're trying to make a connection with, but you are somebody who is aspiring towards more life, towards, greater aspirations for yourself, it's not going to work. And don't try to force it either. Man, I really need this to work. I don't want to feel like a terrible person. So let me start to acclimate to this person, right? You got people at work that you're trying to acclimate to, that you're trying to become like, you're trying to build this kindredness with, but y'all have nothing in common. You have no connection. And again, I bring it back to the intimate relationship. Well, I call them now, they're romantic relationships, but that doesn't always mean there's intimacy, right? Which even gets to this point of, is there a true connection? And when we speak of chemistry, I actually think it's deeper than chemistry, because chemistry insinuates that there is a chemical reaction. So you might have cortisol dripping through your system, right? Or you might be in like fight or flight and stress response, and that to you feels right or it feels familiar. So you think, ooh, I'm stressed when I'm with this person. Ooh, this must be right, because you were raised in a household or you have been programmed and conditioned into stress is normal, stress is familiar. And so you think to yourself, well, we got chemistry. Yeah, y'all got chemistry, all right. You a damn chemist. You done mixed up all kinds of concoctions in your body, and you done seen this person who has the same concoctions that they're letting go. Oh, perfect match. We want to get ourselves to a place where we are making our relational decisions off of higher aspirations, right? That's when everybody is winning. If this person enters with that mindset and I enter into that with the same mindset, then that's going to be the playing field. And some people think, well, that's a conditional type. Bro, yo, look, I'll tell you about conditional. If you kicked it with these people every single day and all y'all did was tote the reefers, right? Smickety bills. If all that you did all day long and then you stopped, they would probably stop hanging out with you eventually, because there's nothing else in common. So if that's not conditionality, I don't know what is, right? If you were part of the big girls club and all of a sudden you said, you know what, I want to actually start cutting down weight, and you start, getting protein in and cutting the sugars out. You stopped the late night runs at In-N-Out and you started doing the early morning runs, literal runs. If you started just switching your life dynamics like that, the people that you're hanging out with currently are probably going to dissipate from your experience at some point in time, unless you give in, right? Unless you are so desperate for their validation that you just neglect your own aspirations for them. Unless you do that, bruh, them relationships ain't going to exist. And it's going to probably happen faster than you think, right? And it might not even be you. You might not go out your way and try to quote unquote cut these people off. They might just find ways to dissipate, because they talking about you now. Like, you are the topic of discussion. It used to be about that skinny over there, but now you are that skinny over there. So it ain't going to work. And so I had to come to a realization within my own life that, brother, if you truly want to make things work for yourself in relationship context, all relationships, you got to check for the signal. You got to check, like, okay, but by the way, sometimes you have a different line, right? You got a different line completely. You might have AT&T, but you're trying to connect to T-Mobile. Ooh, that's a bar right there. My homegirl Carrie, she said, that's a bar. She knows what that is. If you are connected to one provider and the other individual's connected to another provider, there will not be any service. Y'all will not be able to communicate with one another. Period. Maybe maybe you got a different phone altogether. Maybe you got an Apple, they got the Droid. You trying to like or heart messages, and it just sends as liked this message, and it sends the whole message. It sends in green instead of blue. Like, y'all miscommunication. Y'all, there's too much going on here. What is going on here? Now, it might be okay in the literal sense of, texting somebody on their Droid for whatever reason they got that, right? That might be okay with you. But when it comes to real life, that miscommunication is going to remain a miscommunication. And eventually it's going to become a true frustration. From miscommunication to true frustration, because y'all speaking two different languages and y'all trying to make it make sense. I've been in those situations more times than not. And the first time in my life where I said, I got to be in a relationship with people who just understand me as crazy, as whack as whatever I am, right? I can't be in a relationship where I have to stuff myself into a box just to be understood on a basic level, right? And that's okay. Like, ain't nothing wrong with anybody else. As a matter of fact, they looking at me like, damn, I wish I had somebody who was just a little more chill, a little more, why always gotta be talking about these ideas and stuff? Why can't we just vibe, right? I'm like, this is my vibe. Most of the time, this is gonna be my vibe. My vibe is so. Yeah, can we explain why exactly this, that, and the third is this, that, and the third? Like, that's gonna be my vibe, right? Sometimes I might be kicking back, grooving. I might be hitting my little to Bobby Brown, my prerogative. Come on now. But I need to be in a space where I have full signal in order to thrive. And I will not settle for anything less, because I know that there is perfect signal somewhere. So I would travel across the country if necessary I will climb the tree if necessary. I will go wherever I need to go to get that full service, to get that full coverage, period. And that's what we have to start to do in our lives if we expect to have these sort of dynamic relationships that we see, you know, in movies and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe like it's a fairy tale to find, you know, that quote unquote true love. I believe there are true loves, period. However, you cannot find them in a space that they do not exist. You can't find them with half a bar. You can't find them with 1 or 2 bars. You got to get yourself full service, full coverage. Now you're going to be rocking and rolling. Now it's going to be easy. It's not going to be work to try to communicate. We got to try to communicate. Nah, the reason you got to try to communicate is because you are with somebody who speaks Mandarin and you speak Swahili. That's not going to work out. It's never going to work. You can try to read the body language, but there's going to be limitations to that. Right? You're going to try to be a psychic about it, but there's going to be limitations to that. And so this is my parting words for you. Well, almost my parting words for you is to allow yourself to get into situations that resonate and then walk away from those that don't and be unapologetic. Be guilt-free about it. Boom. Be guilt-free. My first published book, Doing Me Guilt-Free. Literally. I wrote 300 pages to make sure that you are living your life guilt-free. You're not living as that people pleaser, but you're living in your personal power. That's all we got to say about that. So appreciate you guys. So much love for you. So much love to you. And sometimes I got to tell you the hard truths because that's the only way you're going to be set free from yourself. And I can't free you, but you got to free yourself. You got to do the walking. As Frederick Douglass said, Brother Frederick, he said, for 27 years, I prayed for my freedom. And it wasn't until I started praying with my feet that I was finally free. You got to use your own momentum in order for your own freedom to become a reality, period. All right, I'm gone. I said hella parting words. I'm like a black bishop. These are the last words. This is the end of the sermon. This right here is, and the organ player's still going. That ain't right.